So in recent months, the left has started bringing up gun control again. And we've been over this time and time again. It's one of the biggest losing issues on that side. And somehow it's gaining traction again. So I wanted to do a shareable video that goes over every reason I could think of that gun control doesn't work. I'm John Black. This is Rude Awakening. So, I wrote out a list, 7 reasons why I don't think gun control will work at all. And these are not just random reasons that I came up with, they're, things that people have actually looked into. So you can double check all of these things. I'm very confident in all 7 of these things that I've listed, and we'll go over each and every one of them. The first one is the easiest out of all of them. People who obey the law aren't the ones committing crimes. It's that simple. Criminals, especially career criminals, they're pretty good at not obeying the law. So if you pass a law about guns, there's a good chance they're not going to listen to it. That was an easy number 1. Number 2, police response time. Now, being a huge supporter of police officers, I do believe that they have a very important role in our society, but their response time is, on average, 6 minutes across the U.S. Some of the worst response times I've seen are about 45 minutes, and some of the better ones I've seen have been about 1.5 minutes. But the average throughout the entire United States is 6 minutes. And a lot can happen in 6 minutes. If you've never been in a stressful situation, like a car accident even, you know how long it feels, but you also know how long it takes. It's usually a split second. It's usually very fast. The Sutherland Springs shooting, 23 people dead and 20 more injured. That took 6 minutes. The low estimate on that one, because we don't have an exact on that, is about 4 minutes. So I'm going with the high estimate of a 6-minute shooting. He was able to kill 23 people in 6 minutes. The Las Vegas shooting, 58 dead, over 480 injured. That took less than 10 minutes. And I know we talk about these things as if it was an hour-long standoff of someone just shooting into a crowd. It was less than 10 minutes. And the average mass shooting is under 8 minutes. This brings up another point, is when the police show up, sometimes they can't do much yet. If you have someone with multiple illegal, fully automatic rifles, it's going to take the police a minute to get everything to a safe enough situation to where they can go in and take care of the problem, and as quickly as possible. Sometimes these standoffs last hours. And I also have a video here that I want to show you. This is a lever-action rifle, so what would be considered a hunting rifle on the left, because the most deadly rifle for them is the AR-15, but this is the world record for less than a semi-automatic weapon, okay?
Stand by.
So, that's how many bullets you can fire that quickly. Now, of course, that's the world record. That's not the average, but with a lever-action rifle or with a semi-automatic pistol, you can dump quite a bit. There was another video I wanted to show, but it's fairly graphic, but it's of a shooting that took place down in Roy, and the officer fired 16 rounds in about 4 seconds. So if a bad person gets a hold of a gun and you call the police, you're still dead. That's just it. Reason number 3. The people who push for gun control don't know anything about guns. We've seen all kinds of hilarious videos on YouTube of these people who pull up weapons and they try to describe these weapons, they try to explain them, and they have no idea what they're talking about. Even more so, most of them have never shot a gun, and even more so, most of them have never bought a gun, and do not know how difficult the process is to purchase a firearm. Just yesterday, I was at one of my favorite stores where they do sell guns, and heard somebody get denied the ability to buy a gun because they had committed domestic violence 10 years ago. You hear people talk about the Sutherland Springs guy using the domestic violence loophole. It wasn't a loophole. He lied about his identity and bought a gun. He bought a gun illegally. Okay? It is extremely difficult to buy a gun nowadays, especially if you have any kind of criminal record whatsoever. Number 4, gun-free zones don't work. Most mass shootings happen in gun-free zones. Sutherland Springs was in a church. The Las Vegas shooting was at a theater that did not allow guns. He was also outside of the theater shooting into it, so even more so, in a gun-free zone. Chicago, New York, California have extremely strict gun control, and they seem to be some of the most violent places in the U.S. I saw a list of cities. I can't think of exactly what it was, but I know New York and San Diego and Chicago were on that list, and Detroit was on that list. A lot of these places that have extreme gun control laws, and if you take them off of our list of deaths, our country becomes one of the safer ones. So, gun control laws already are not working. And there's one main reason for that. Criminals don't like being shot at. If you're going to go shoot somebody, if you're going to go shoot a ton of people, going to a place that you know there aren't any guns is probably ideal. Number 5, fewer guns does not equal less crime. We just went over that right there. The UK has very strict gun control, and their crime rate is on the rise. Stabbings and people being beaten with baseball bats, and especially rape. I think I went over that in my hate speech video, how bad it is over there crime-wise, and it's only getting worse. Whereas in the US, we have more concealed carry permits than we've ever had before, which means we have more guns, and the crime rate is going down. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that more guns is lowering the crime rate. But what it does mean is that more guns is not raising the crime rate. More guns does not equal more crime. Number 6, the Second Amendment was not designed to protect your household. It was not designed to protect you from bad guys. It was designed to protect us from a tyrannical government. Over in London, they just told their officers to shoot protesters. To just shoot them. So we don't agree with what you're saying, so we're just going to shoot you. That's free speech. That's a whole different issue, and yet they can't defend their own free speech because they don't have guns, and the government does. Venezuela. I've talked about this before, too. They shot their people for trying to receive aid, and they had no say in that because they gave up their guns a long time ago, and every time they bring it up down there, they talk about how much they regret that decision. number 7, and this is the last one, you are more likely to be saved by a gun. Okay? Leftist policies don't usually account for bad people. Socialism is an excellent example. You take all your assets and you give them to the government, and the government is supposed to decide whether your assets are better used spread out among the people or whatever. What if a bad person is in the government? What if an evil person gets into those positions of power and now you have no say? That socialism doesn't account for bad people. Same with gun control. Gun control only accounts for those who will follow the gun control laws. It does not account for bad people. The right to a gun accounts for bad people and protects the good ones. Now, yes, bad people are still going to get a hold of guns, but you have a way to defend yourself against them. Yes, governments are still going to try and take your rights, but you can defend yourself against that. Your likelihood of being saved by a gun is more than your likelihood of being murdered, period. I've got the numbers right here. About 17,000 people are murdered every year. And the low number of people being saved by a firearm is 500,000. That means you are around 10 times more likely to be saved by a gun than to be murdered at all. Okay? I'm not just talking about murdered by a gun. I'm talking about someone comes in and stabs you. Someone comes in and beats you with a baseball bat. Somebody makes a deadly strain of cancer and infects you with it. You are more likely to be saved by someone carrying a firearm and exercising their rights than you are to be murdered at all. The high number, by the way, for people saved by firearms, the high estimation is 3 million. So you are not only 10 times more likely, you are possibly all the way up to 60 times more likely to be saved by a gun. And all it takes is carrying one. And I do believe that everybody should know how to use a firearm. At the very least. If you're not the kind of person who can, make that decision, then find some way to defend yourself. Find some way to defend your rights. Because it is not someone else's right to break into your house and take your stuff. It is not their right to come into your house and kill your family and to do whatever they want with you, and that includes the government. It is not their right to tell you how to live your life. Okay? It's not their right to tell you what you can say or what you can do. Unless it's infringing on somebody else's rights, and you'd know because they might shoot at you. Anyway, this is my little encouragement for everyone to go out and to exercise their Second Amendment rights. And to protect yourself and to protect your families and to keep yourself as free as possible. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe to my channel, Rude Awakening, and make sure you share this around and let everybody know why they want their rights protected. I know that a gun video like this, I don't have any chance of getting monetized talking about guns on YouTube, but I do want as many people to know as possible what their rights are and why gun control doesn't work. If you go to rudeawakening.blogspot.com, I update my articles at least once a week. And if you go to Facebook and you type in Rude Awakening Political Articles, I update that regularly, pretty much daily. Sometimes I miss a day or two, but, still working full-time and everything. And that's it. So, we'll see you next time.